Hey, mate, how are you?
Good, Jace. How are you, mate? All right?
Good, man. Another episode. We're in episode 4 of Loki already. And Rick, how I start off every week will be the same. Same way I'll start this week, and ask you overall, what did you think of the episode?
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely enjoyed this. This episode had everything. It had emotion. It had, shock, surprising, obviously, towards at the end. We get to learn a little bit more about Loki and I guess his feelings about things. And it was just, a lot of bombshells, which was really good. A lot of things I didn't think were going to happen, but they did. And just quote me if I'm wrong, Jace, the technology they used in this, is it the same as The Mandalorian? Because that opening, because that just looked phenomenal.
I don't believe they were using the volume for this.
But just looked spectacular, so well. So enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed this episode.
Love it. Yeah. Look, I could. I mean, obviously, yeah. Again, I'm starting to feel like everything in Marvel I love, and it's, in a way you think, oh, well, you just sound like a Marvel shield, but like they're producing quality content. So I'm not going to say I loved it. I loved it. It was great. Yeah, you're talking about, further exploring Loki as what is Loki? What does he represent?
Yeah.
To just stunning visuals and twists and turns and character development and just wonderful kind of not fan service, but I don't know, just a real appreciation for the source material and just there's just so much goodness in this episode that we'll definitely try to discuss and uncover. I don't know if we'll cover it all tonight because there was so much packed into this episode, I thought. But let's give it a good crack, Rick. And
mate.
Basically, I think the best way to obviously we'll go chronologically through it. Is the opening of this, and we get to see the shot of Asgard. So the opening shot of this is Asgard. But did you notice the opening shot, Rick? It wasn't the same Asgard as we know.
No,
it was a more fishing kind of version of it. If you actually have a look at that opening shot, it seemed to be very much like a fishing village. So it was different. It had the iconic building, that massive building that's shaped like that in there, but it was definitely different. And we obviously get to see young girls playing a little bit of a boat. TVA come in, take her.
She's just playing. She's just playing with the toys.
Just playing. And it's clearly at that stage we know it's a backstory. I knew that straight off the bat. That was the backstory of what happened to
Sylvie.
Sylvie. Yeah. Sylvie. So, certainly, it was interesting that they kind of showed the fact that the person that grabbed her happens now to be a judge for the TVA. So, you can see the connectivity there, why at this point she's kind of invested in getting this variant under control. Yeah, so it's, and it's kind of really haunting when they show the scenes afterwards with that young girl going through the same process as Loki. Because when we saw Loki go through that process, being administered, clothes gets lasered off, he's got to go through that doorway and that. Yeah. That was funny and quirky, and we really were enjoying that. But they're showing the same scene again with that young girl. But it's got a real haunting feel to it. It's not so much of a good time, But at least what was great about the end of that scene, dude, is she actually got a hold of that little controller. And we see the fact that she was, by the looks of it, 10 when she bailed and got away from him. So she's been doing this hiding thing for a long time. So, I thought that was a nice little backstory. Which finishes just nicely because we get to go into this room that's full of fog and mysterious, and we see the timekeepers with their little kind of red glowing eyes. We don't get to see them in their full thing. We get to see the silhouettes of them, which I thought was kind of cool. I'm like, you got me hooked. I'm in straight away anyway. But more so, I thought, what a great way to open the episode. And this looks fun. Rick, but we go straight into the, episode. At least we get to see Owen Wilson again. He features fairly heavily.
It's so good to see him back.
Yeah, to see him back because he really does bring a lot to this show. He really does, and he's not playing the goofy, Owen Wilson. He's actually playing a serious kind of role here. He's not really playing it for laughs, and I think he's wonderful in it. I really do, But it really starts off about his relationship with the judge. I mean, there's clearly they call it a friendship in the show, but clearly he is wanting more out of it, probably than she is. But they've really got a strong bond, They're certainly strong in the belief in their cause and purpose to keep control of the timeline. So, and that kind of establishes it, pretty quickly early on in the show. We know that where they're at that point. And then we get back to that planet. We go straight back to the planet where we last saw Loki and Sylvie. And what a beautiful looking scene.
I know. That's how good it looked.
It looked incredible. And you're seeing the moon breaking apart slowly. I mean, it seems slowly, but when it's coming down, it's coming down. But they're essentially waiting there to die, They
know. They said that. They just, And you see that pivotal moment where they hold each other's hand and, Loki's got this strong feeling for her. And then you see things breaking down and they know, shit, this is it. And then it happens.
But it's interesting. As soon as they hold hands, look how they cut back to the office and we see that's whatever they did. Yeah, the branch was the largest branch out that they'd ever seen before.
They've never seen it before.
Yeah. But it's also the main guard. What do I feel like? SC30 or something like that, whatever her name is probably wrong. But the main guard that we've been dealing with.
Oh, C15, is it?
Yeah, something like that.
C20 was the one that got
all of a sudden, she's asking questions early on in the show. So, which is kind of interesting. But, man, coming back to that scene where you're seeing the moon actually hitting that planet and the ripple effects, of course. Yeah, I don't think of anything. It was so visually beautiful and stunning to look at.
That's what I thought. Really wow. Well, it's just how they did it was phenomenal. I loved it. It felt like I was watching a cinema. I was in the cinemas watching a movie.
Yeah. It was certainly that level.
Yeah.
And a little poignant scene between Sylvie and Loki there, though. It is. It's kind of, again, this shows a real exploration into what it means to be Loki. And I still stand by, this is a show where Loki has to learn to love himself.
And that's what it shows in this episode.
Yeah. And what's Sylvie's representative of love that he's capable of. But they have this nice little scene, which is just really good character building stuff, And then the bomb hits, man. And, you're just seeing this giant wave of rock just starting towards them.
And they know we're going to die. This is it.
Yeah. This is it.
They accept it.
Yeah. But they find it. They find them, get a doorway, and they're both captured. Yeah, they're both captured, which is, interesting because they get split apart immediately. As soon as they grab him, bring him back to the TVA, they've shuffled Sylvie off, straight off out of the way. Like, they don't want those two guys together, period. No. They don't want them together. So, and then, the friction between obviously Loki and Mobius. Mobius, sorry, it's really there because I think Loki is trying and frustrated at the fact that he's not listening to anything he's trying to say about what's going on. And Loki actually gets a chance in this scene to explain what the hell they're trying to do and the fact that, the TVA isn't what it seems.
No.
Is
that after he comes back from his loop?
It does. I mean, I'm talking in general terms. If I was to go chronologically, of course, he gets thrown into a cell, a different type of cell.
There's that little
and we get our first shock and twist of the episode we see the return
Lady Sif.
Of Lady Sif, exactly. Lady Sif turns up and, he's back and he's in Asgard.
Yeah.
And Lady Sif comes out and he's going on about her hair and, she knees him in the nuts, smacks him in the head. But we quickly realise that he's stuck in a time loop because that same thing keeps happening again and again and again and again.
And that's
funny. That's a hoot. That was a hoot, absolutely. And So actually, I don't know how long he was in there the first time because it just kept happening, which I thought was funny. But he gets a chance to get out because after a meeting between Mobius and the judge, the first one, there's another great scene between those two later in the episode. But the first one is kind of going like, why can't I interrogate Sylvie and both of them? Like, clearly we need to get to the bottom of what's going on. Let me have access to both of them. But he's being firewalled.
Yeah.
They're not letting him go anywhere near Sylvie at all.
No, because he was talking about C20 and why can I, find out and speak to her because no one, and then she was saying, oh, she's dead. He didn't want to find out. So he was asking the questions. He knew he was going along that path and he knew something was going on, but he wasn't quite sure. So
yeah. But, and I think he's probably starting to cotton on to things because of how C20 is behaving. Is that her name? Is that the proper
C20?
Name?
Yeah.
C20.
C20.
Yeah, which referred to. But you can see that, he can sense something off about her. Like, because we know C20, and which gets revealed later in the episode, which could drop now, because she was hit by an enchantment from Sylvie, she saw memories that she didn't know existed, revealing the fact that there was a life before doing what she was doing in the TVA. Exposing the fact that, as I revealed in the last episode, that every single person in the TVA is a variant.
Is a variant.
And their lives were stolen from them. And they were then, memories were wiped and they became workers in this system. That's pretty crazy stuff, isn't it? I mean, just discover the fact that you had this whole other life.
You had a life, but everything's been wiped from your memory.
Yeah. So, Mobius gets back to Loki again, pulls him out, and they start at that scene where, like I said, Loki reveals the deal. Like, you're a variant, you had a life before this, and that's powerful, isn't it?
And he doesn't believe it.
Of course not, because why would you believe it? It's the boy who cried wolf.
That's right.
Isn't it? I mean, Loki, because Loki lies all the time. So why would you believe him this time?
That kind of like, there was a moment when you see Owen Wilson, he's just like, when he dropped that bombshell, he says, you're all variant and blah, blah. And he kind of had that moment, he was looking and then he was kind of thinking about it. And then he's like,
nah, fuck that. Yeah, it wasn't that. Yeah, but essentially, it's the truth. It's one of the few times Loki is telling the truth. And but obviously it was enough to resonate with him.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't completely, even though in the room he's saying like, you're full of shit, Loki. And that's a long scene, let's be honest too. I mean, we were browsing over it, but it is a long scene. But it does end up with him being thrown back into that jail cell, doesn't it?
Yeah, because he was talking about, because they were talking about, before.
We don't need you anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, because he was saying, Sylvia is dead, blah, blah, blah. And then that's when you realize that he's really got some strong feelings for her.
Yeah.
And then, and then that's when they revealed it and so forth. And then he said, we don't really need you. And then that's when he kind of said those things that, the biggest lie is that you tell yourself and kind of, made Owen think. And they threw him back in the time loop.
Back in the timeline. And then we cut back to that scene of C20 looking at some of the posters on the wall in the hallways. And this is where she makes the decision, isn't it? That's the point where she decides, I'm going to get answers here.
Yeah. She knows something is
so
happening.
she goes to visit Sylvie.
Yeah.
And it's it's a very revealing scene because they go to a secure location, which is that Rocksmart place, don't they?
Where they had met her. Where they met Sylvie for the first time.
But before we go to that scene, we are in the second scene between the judge and Mobius, which is critical, where they're having a drink.
Yes,
they're celebrating the fact that the case is closed from their perspective. And it's not long after that's revealed that he's got questions.
He's asking questions. He's
asking questions, and certainly around. Well, what's he? I mean, certainly does he? I can't remember it because it's only fresh, but I can't remember every small detail. Does he say in that scene to her like, "Are we all variants?" I mean, I think he does, doesn't he? He questions that. I mean, it's certainly implied. I think, meaning like he's starting to go, well, what are we? Do we have a life afterwards, kind of thing? Well, there's a trust issue, and you're not.
Yeah. Yeah, well, no, I don't think he mentioned.
I don't know. Maybe he didn't audibly say it. Maybe I'm just thinking about what the subtext.
No, because she kept talking about, where do you want to be if you could go anywhere. That was the kind of thing.
Yeah. Where could you go anywhere? And he said, I'd stay right.
Yeah. But then after,
you're right. You're right. What it is, how we know that he really suspect doesn't trust her is he swaps out the devices. Yeah, that's the real thing, isn't it? Like he kind of he doesn't trust her, you would suggest at this point.
And she knows, he's up to something. She feels that because he left pretty much straight away and goes off with the device.
And then we go back to that scene with Sylvie and C20, and they're at that Rox car at the front of it. And she's going like, what is going on? What did I see? And, Sylvie goes to her, look, I didn't put those memories in your head. I only accessed them for you. She doesn't have that power. So they reconnect. She touches her again and opens all the memories back up for C20.
Such an emotional scene.
It is. And it's, just there in the pouring rain and it's just kind of happening. But as soon as, I love what she says when she comes out of that dream state. It's like, what now? What now? There's no question about, whether that's real or not. Is that what do they do now?
Sorry, Jace, we just got a comment from Cameron.
Yep, please. C20 is the one Sylvie captured. B15 one is the episode who helps Sylvie. There you go.
Too many numbers. Cameron. Thank you.
Thank you. We're old, Cameron, and we
appreciate that.
But so B15, B15 with Sylvie. Correction, everyone.
C20 is the other one.
Yeah. B15 is with Sylvie, and that's an emotional scene. It's like, well, what now? What happens now? Which I thought was you're right. It was an emotionally kind of profound scene
because she's figuring out that I've lost X amount of years of my life.
And B15 is really the first one who's been awakened to the truth. She is the Neo, or the Morpheus in this situation, if you really want to get technical with it. But she's been awakened, in the Matrix and such. And it's backed up with a really great little scene as well, where we see in the little corner of a library somewhere, where we see Mobius accessing that device that he swapped over. And he gets to see the scene of that girl that we had seen at the beginning of the last episode in the restaurant when we were introduced to Sylvie, where she's trying to get that information out of her. But we see what must have been a post-interview, and this it's the C20 is the one that we're talking about in the video. Yeah, she is going, look, I had a life. These things were real. I knew those places. And then obviously you see the judge cut it off, cut this off. And I think at that point, Mobius is absolutely going, right, this is it.
He's convinced.
There's something really wonky going on here. And And, he finally gets back to Loki in that time loop jail cell. And, accepts the fact that this is what's going on. So, it's pretty full on. It's not long after that, the relationships that Moby has had have completely turned upside down now. People who he trusted and confided in, and
his whole world,
his world has turned upside down. And then in an absolute shocking twist,
I know
he gets pulverized. So basically disintegrated.
Pruned. Is that what they call it? Pruned?
Yeah, and it was shocking. It really was.
I did not see that
coming. Yeah, it was a real shock. And
I was like, oh shit, they've just.
And I'm like, what are they doing? Certainly when watching it was really, really upsetting. You can see Loki was kind of devastated a bit.
Oh yeah.
But all of a sudden Loki's marched out. He's marched out to a hallway, and Sylvie is there as well. They're then, marched into this elevator. And by the time they're in the elevator, I'm going, holy shit, they're going to go and see the timekeepers.
This is the elevator.
And wow, I didn't think they'd actually show us that kind of.
Now,
and here are these 3 mystical aliens.
I did have a little bit of difficulty understanding them when they were talking. I don't know if that was. Or some things it's kind of like trying to listen.
Yeah. The one on the right was the hardest to understand. Still, I got the point.
Yeah.
They should have put subtitles on that, actually.
Something,
yeah. They looked cool. They looked very kind of alien-like, and it was wow. They really? I wouldn't have thought you would have seen this scene until like the climax of the show. So, but there's a nice kind of conversation where they're getting confronted, but Timekeeper's not having any of it because, boom, we're in a fight scene.
It's on, mate. Thank God we had a fight scene in this episode.
PBA guards and Loki and Sylvie. It's a great kind of action scene, all happening. Pretty exciting stuff. No, I loved it. I thought it was this was great. I'm going, wow, they're really going for it now. And, it wasn't like it was the best fight scene in the world. I will say it is pretty a standard. You knew what it was leading to. And what it was leading to is a show-off between, because her and the judge have that fight. Sylvie and the judge.
I thought she killed the judge, but she, I don't know, obviously knocked her out or something. I thought she killed her, but didn't.
But either way, I thought she'd killed her too, but she didn't prune her or anything like that. That's the standard action. You think you've knocked somebody out, and then they come back out of nowhere. But what we're really here to see is the showdown between Loki, Sylvie, and the Timekeepers.
This is what
and I'm like, oh, okay, what are they going to do? She throws the fucking sword at one and decapitates it.
That's him.
I was like, jaw dropped.
I was like, what?
Whoa. But then,
another
as the head's rolling down, you see it sparking a little bit.
Yeah, it's just a fake.
And she picks it up and we find out, goddamn androids.
Yeah.
They're androids, which is, again, really shocking because I'm like, well, what, who, what is all this going on now? You've just thrown everything up in the air. Everything we thought we knew, we now don't know.
It's gone out the window.
Completely gone.
Yeah.
So, and that was, that was a real shock, And it kind of leaves on a cliffhanger in that room.
Again. I was like, kidding. Another one.
Yeah. So, it just kind of ends, doesn't it? Hang on a minute. Am I missing something?
You're missing the big
one. Sorry, the big part of the end of that episode is the fact that
Loki gets pruned.
They kill the main character.
Yeah, she gets.
By the end of that episode, they have killed Loki.
I'm like, holy shit!
What have they done? Is this show turning into Sylvie instead of Loki? Because then when my mind is going, oh my god, Loki's done. He's gone. He's gone. It's over. And I'm watching the credit scenes afterwards, shocked, going, where are they going to take the show now? They've just killed the two main characters. But alas, Rick. But alas, it's not the case at all.
We knew it was going to happen.
Well, no, I didn't know what they were doing, but...
No, but a credit scene. They've done it in the other shows, and we finally got our first one.
Yeah, and so basically we get the scene of Loki kind of eyes open thinking he's in hell. Thinking he's in hell, but I don't think he is, Rick, because the reveal, which was just freaking awesome, the final shot of this episode is one of my favorite things I've seen again in a while in a Marvel show, is the fact that he gets up and he sees 3 Lokis. Completely different versions of Loki, which says to me, Rick, he's been when they're pruned, they must all get sent to one place. All the variants of the same get sent somewhere, because we get this great scene of a young kid who's like a Loki. We get an African American guy who looks like he's the an African Loki, and then we get the best thing ever, and that is Richard E. Grant. Dressed as Loki, straight out of Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, Avengers like villain Loki. Like spot on. Like how WandaVision looked when she dressed up for Halloween as Scarlet Witch. Is exactly the same what they've done with that Loki, Richard E. Grant. And I'm just looking at it thinking, that is incredible, mate. That was fantastic. Because I could see a time in the 1980s, if they'd made Avengers, that Richard E. Grant would have been the perfect Loki. He would have been absolutely magic. So it was genius casting to kind of put that in there. But yeah, what a wonderful end. My favorite end of an episode or after credit scene I've seen in a long time. Absolutely delightful. Totally so there's more to it though, because by the end of episode 4, what do we know? The TVA is a front for something else.
Who is controlling it? Who made the TVA?
We're really peeling back the onion.
Someone is controlling it.
Absolutely nuts. But that was the episode. What a cracker of an episode.
So
really loved it.
Does that mean Mobius is not dead? He's somewhere
in my theory,
should be what we saw.
Thinking, in my theory, I think he's sent to a place where there's nothing else but Mobius is there. Different variants. That's why I reckon Loki's been sent to a place where he's just surrounded by Loki variants.
Okay.
So that's my theory, that everybody goes to there, I don't know, wherever they are, dimension-wise.
So he's gone back
multiverse-wise. Or they're all on the same planet somewhere, which then is an absolute ruse, and it's just finding who is absolutely behind this, you know? So, but yeah, I have no idea what is really going on. I wouldn't even try to guess
the beauty of it.
What they're doing. So,
everything we knew, like you said, is just gone out the window, mate. Because all those theories and everything else just doesn't work now. But that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of this show. And
you don't really know where it's going.
You in and no, so good.
No, you definitely don't. But yeah, there you go, Rick. That was another episode 4 of our Loki live after show. Fantastic, mate. Next week we'll be back again.
You just
episode 5, and who knows where that's going to go. We can't.
It's going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to be a ripper, Rick. Yeah. So, guys, if you enjoyed our little breakdown, a little chat, really important to us. The most thing we want from you is to comment, is to be involved more than anything else. Of course, we want you to like it. Of course, we want you to subscribe. But most importantly, we want to connect with you. We want to be able to talk about this with you. So get involved, absolutely. And well, that's it from me.
That's Jason, it from me, guys.
I'm gone. Rick,
I'm done.
You're gone.
We'll
see you guys next week for episode 5 of the Loki live after show. See you guys.